Welcome to Issues in Focus. This video has been pre-recorded. This month, May, marks 2 years since Issues in Focus has been streaming live, and I must say it has been a tremendous journey. One in which sometimes I feel like giving up and not doing anything, because even though it doesn't matter how you may like the camera, there are moments that you just don't feel like doing anything. But nevertheless, I am super elated that I can basically use this opportunity and to spend every moment with you wonderful people. And for the past 2 years, we have heard some stories. We have had some wonderful discussion, and I am super grateful and thankful for each and every person who would have made this journey thus far a reality and a success. One thing I do know for sure is that this will continue. I know for the last 2 weeks I was not live. I just needed to take some mental rest, and I'm happy that even though today we are doing things a little bit differently, that we are here and that you can basically hear from others. For tonight's program, one of the things we'll be doing is to focus on 3 testimonies of individuals who would have gone through situations and God would have basically helped them to overcome. Sometimes we take life for granted, we take things for granted. As you look around, there are so many things have happened over the past months and years, and sometimes we just sit and we behave as if, I guess we're gonna live forever. But when you see I sit and I ponder on life and the situations that people go through, the circumstances that people have to endure, and yet still it seems as if there is no hope, there is no aspiration. It's like they can't do anything else. They are the big breaking point. It is at those moments I realize how fortunate I am, and how even though, yes, I may not get everything I want, or I may not be perfectly where I want to be, I am still grateful to God for where He has brought me from, and the various testimonies that I can say of how God has tremendously been blessing me, been influencing me. I want to make, for those of you who would have been, active viewers on the program, you would have realized that for the beginning of this year, we would have implemented the Black Files series. And one of the things I've realized from that particular program is that, man, people are hurting, people are pained, people are, they're going through a lot. And, when I look at persons like Tanisha Bristol, who has her business going amidst the fact that she has gone through so much. And there's so many other guests that I had on the program who would have been abused in some way, or, they just went through a whole lot. And yet still they can be at this point in their lives trying to make things differently. As a matter of fact, do things differently. It says a lot about God's grace and how God can still turn your mess into a message. And I really and truly want to encourage persons. I don't know where you are at your breaking point in your life, but just don't give up. I remembered when I was, after school, I always had a passion for counseling. I reflected on the fact that I have a little, it's an album, and in front of the album, very small one, I wrote, I want to become a counselor. And when I started Issues in Focus, I realized that, I really can't do with it. Not like if I cannot listen to people, not like if I may not be very good at what I do, but what breaks me is the fact that in all the situations, I cannot help. I cannot really bring about direct solutions to these individuals who are going through their traumatic experiences. And because of that, somebody might be going through hard financial situations, and so I personally cannot help them to a large extent, right? And sometimes that breaks my heart, or the list goes on. Sometimes a child may have to be moved from their environment, but because the person would have said something in confidence to you, you cannot really go out and seek out help for those individuals. So for me personally, it's like that has become my breaking point. And because I don't know how to manage my emotions with listening to person's stories and not feeling terribly affected, not feeling as if I really and truly cannot do anything about it. And so because of that, I just like, nah, counseling is not for me. But I am thankful for the fact that we have persons out there who, through Issues in Focus, were actually able to contact different counselors and all of those individuals to get some sort of help. And so for the month of May, as we continue to celebrate Issues in Focus month, I must say thanks to all of those, the counselors and even all of our special guests that came on the program from time to time over the 2 years span. I know for the Black File series, if you know of anyone who practically going through those situations, and some people reach at a point in their lives whereby, hey, I want persons to hear my story. I don't want to be silent about this again, So if you know of any such person and they're willing to give a voice and to be on the program, they can message me. And for those of you who are part of the Issues in Focus page, those of you who are YouTube subscribers, you're there. Those individuals who are part of Shubiki Vibers, my friends list on Facebook, you can feel free to reach out to me, make contact, because people need to be helped. People need help. And so I pray for you. I pray that you will continue to support this program in every way possible, to help us to reach to a place that more persons can basically be preview to this program, see what's happening, what's going on, and we want to reach to a place whereby we can be able to help persons. I know officially I haven't reached out to anybody for direct help in terms of one of the things we want to do as an organization, even though we're not yet registered, is to start with hampers for especially our young people. The person's going through a lot, as I mentioned before, a lot. Some of us, it's impossible for us to fathom it because we have never been there in our entire lives. But if there's a way that you can help and you can support, feel free to reach out. And so at the end of the day, we can be able to touch and bless the hearts of so many persons who are out there. I know for the year, most of the programs have taken a serious tone. Don't worry, you will have those jokey moments and those light programs coming back soon. But nevertheless, I want every program to use it as a form of what can I do better, right? It might be in a situation whereby you listen to a program and somebody did something and you're like, hey, how can I help in this situation, right? So every program you look at, I know everyone wouldn't get the opportunity to look at the program every single week based on schedule and your different agendas, but whatever it is, try and see what you can do. How that every week you can be able to make a difference in somebody's life, and just do something that is totally different. And to my young people out there, I want to encourage you, make bold moves, step out, do something that is different. When you look around, ask yourself the question, what am I not seeing? What do I want to see? Can I be the person? Can I be the driving force? Can I be that mechanism that can help me to reach to that point? And you know why? And that's why I really like Philippians 4:13, which says I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. because I have come to a place to realize that anything that I want to be accomplished, anything, as long as I put God and I make God the center of that decision, it can be accomplished, and it can be successful. So I want each one of you to reach that point whereby you're like, hey, I know I can make this a reality. I know that through God, I can accomplish this. You know, never look at your failures. One thing I remembered saying to a few persons, when was it? As a matter of fact, there was a quote I learned in college that says, failure is not the end of something, it's the beginning of a new start. And I remember back home in Guyana, when I was teaching almost before any class, I used to like to use that quotation, even sometimes when I'm distributing exam papers, to students. Because why? I believe that if we don't fail, we don't know how to succeed after, and never underestimate failure to say, oh, that's the end of something. No, get up, be inspired, do something new. Don't stay at the same place that you were 10 years ago, 5 years ago. Every year, try to do something different. Add to what you would have already accomplished. There is nothing. I believe that God has given us a brain. God has given us wisdom. And because of that, He expects us to use it. Whatever your hands find to do, do it with all your might. Don't wait until you're dead, as Ecclesiastes 9:10 informs us. Then before, well, when you're dead, you're dead. You can't do anything about it. But ensure as you go along life's journey, ask yourself, what difference have I made? What can I do? And accomplish it along the way. Don't look at the fact that your parents have not accomplished this, your siblings have not accomplished this, and it means that you can't accomplish. Who says that you can't, right? And so I'm encouraging you, push forward, be motivated, step forward, accomplish all dreams, accomplish all aspiration, make your life better. After, sometimes I sit and I look at my life, and for me, I'm quite satisfied that after these few decades that of what I would have accomplished over time, I still know that I have more potential that I haven't really unleashed as yet. But the point is, it's a start. It's somewhere is to do something. And so I just want to, as we're in our 2nd year anniversary month, I just want to use this opportunity to encourage others. Step forward. Do something different, right? And I even want to encourage those individuals who, you don't know God. Maybe you just don't care. Maybe you had experiences in the past that you thought that God wasn't good to you. You were praying for things and it didn't come through, and you're at the breaking point of, nah, I don't think this God really exists. I don't really think that I really want to serve Him. I want you to realize one thing. If we look around at the world in which we're living in and the things that are happening, you will realize that, hey, there is nothing like having that relationship with Him. Nothing like having it. And oftentimes you'd want to know, why is it that celebrities, they commit suicide? They have the money. I don't see that they should be going through anything. But there's a peace that passes all understanding when you have Christ in your life. Nothing can compare to that. And so even in our down moments, even in my down moments, I can still call upon Him, and then I can feel better afterwards. It may not be right away, but it will still aid the process. And so, guys, don't give up. Just stay true to who you are, and be the person that God has created you to be. And for those individuals, you might have your moments that you may need to be motivated, feel free to reach out to me so that I can offer you some form of encouragement and support in whatever way I can, so that life can be better for you. I believe in happiness, I believe in joy, and I don't believe anyone can make you unhappy. But happiness depends upon what you want to accomplish. So sometimes it may be just ignoring somebody, it may be stepping out of the way, it may be walking away from a situation. Whatever it is that you may have to do, just do it. And as Issues in Focus continues, we know for a fact that hearts will continue to be changed, lives will be transformed. And at the end of the day, we will see persons who are different. Many persons have reached out to me, you know yourselves, and I pray that God will continue to bless you all and bless those individuals as they continue to navigate life and even try to overcome the obstacles that they are enduring right now. So God bless you.
Hi, my name is Jaleesa Emanuelson Wheelinger, and today I'll be sharing an experience about how God got me through a difficult situation. So, I have many testimonies because God has been good to me throughout my life. He has really seen me through some difficult situations, but I'll talk today about one that might be relatable to a lot of people, which is financial struggles. So, while at university as an international student, like many other international students, I struggled financially with paying my tuition fees and other necessities. So, throughout my tenure at the university, I struggled, but I was getting through bits by bits and so forth. But oftentimes, at USC, you were able to pay a bit, pay a certain amount to register, but that wouldn't be, the full amount. So I would always kind of get through with that and get registered, but I often then had an outstanding balance. So now in my fourth year, it had accumulated and I had a big outstanding balance to deal with before graduation. So I remember being a bit worried where the money was going to come from. And as Christians, sometimes we waver in our faith when things seem impossible because we know we cannot do it, and then we forget that God can. So I was a bit worried until one day somebody called me and he told me that a person who wanted to remain anonymous had wiped off my student balance, my financial debt that I had at the school. It was completely taken care of, not a cent remained. And I was so happy and ecstatic, and I couldn't believe that this was yet another thing that God had done for me and proved to me that He was God and that He can do anything. It wasn't no little bit of money. And He took care of it. I still don't know who it is, but thank you. And I want to thank God for always seeing us through. So if you're in a situation right now where you're wondering where the money is going to come from, where the resources are going to come from, where any help you need is coming from, God is there, but you just have to trust Him. We really have to trust in Him. He has been faithful. He remains faithful. He will remain faithful until the end of time. So let us remain faithful to Him. And I hope someone is encouraged by this testimony. Bye.
Hi, good evening. My name is Wilbert Fraser, and I'm originally from Guyana, but now I'm residing in Winnipeg, Canada. Thank you very much, Shabiki, for having me here on your program. Well, like millions around the world, I've suffered from the COVID-19, and all basically have a different story to tell. Well, I'm here to share with you my experience because I think that it was the grace of God that kept me. It was such that I was bedridden for an extensive period, and in my recovery phase, I was allowed to be at home while being provided with medical assistance, including being on the oxygen. I was also provided with a pulse oximeter. That's a device similar to this, but it's a medical grade where it tells your oxygen level. The recommended level is that of 95 to 100%. If it drops below 95, well, you know, you just need to rest and allow the body to bring itself back up to. Or you go right back onto the oxygen supply. Well, one day I thought of being adventurous because I really wanted to recover and recover fast. And I'm living in a cul-de-sac, so I went out, walk around my cul-de-sac, and I just thought of maybe pushing the boundaries just a little, and I walked 2 blocks down. Well, let's just say that on my way back, it was the strangest experience I've ever had. I didn't know where I was suddenly. I was lost. I was dazed. My entire body's feeling was just of chills, and it was weird. When I looked down on my finger and I read the oximeter, it said 79%. At this point in time, I should have called the ambulance, but I was also afraid because I left without telling my wife that I was going. Secondly, I was also afraid of going on the other side because here I am expecting a young one. My wife at that time was pregnant. And I'm saying to myself, I need to live for my kid. Well, let's just say that God kept me because there I am, even though I'm not recognizing where I was, and I kept walking and walking and pressing on, and suddenly I saw the mailbox next to the cul-de-sac, and I said, this is my cul-de-sac. There's the only mailbox next to a cul-de-sac on this street. And when I turned and I walked, I saw my home, and I'm like, yes, that's my home. Well, I was extremely weak, but I made it because God kept me along the way. Well, I got home. My visual expression was just evident enough that something was not right, and I went straight back into the oxygen, turned on the tank, and I went asleep when my doctor called to follow up, as they would every day, and they would have taken my reading and learned that it was 79. They asked if they should send for the ambulance to take me to the hospital. It's like, no, I'm fine at that point in time. Well, my wife was visibly upset, but yet supportive. Most importantly, I wanted to thank God because He saved me. That experience could have turned out a lot differently, but He saved me. In addition to which, my wife was in good health, and so is our new daughter, who did not succumb to any of that experience at all with the COVID. And I really thankful that I was the one that really experienced that and not them. You know, I took one for the family. In addition to which, I take it not for granted because God's mercies really, really was evident in my life at that point in time. I just want to share that message with those who might be going through a very tough time, that, God's mercies will always be there. We just have to trust Him, even at times when we may want to push the boundaries, because God always cares. So keep trusting. Have a blessed one.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Liba Matthews Julian, and I would just like to take this opportunity to share with everyone one of my many, many stories where God has blessed me and blessed my life and has seen me through difficult difficult moments. Um, where do I begin? Last year, in the month of December to be exact, I started having experiencing COVID-like symptoms, and I was taken up to the hospital to be tested. And you know, I spent 2 days under the COVID triage tent trying to get attendance. It took a very long, grueling time for anyone to pay attention to my plight. Eventually, um, I had to go into the car to get some rest, and then my husband stayed at the tent to try to get attendance for me. So, I was back and forth between the car and the tent, the car and the tent. So, as I said, it was like 2 days already that we had been there trying to get a doctor to take notice of my situation. Eventually, they called me, so I was like, yeah, I'm going to get through now. But I get into the room where the doctors were attending to persons. They did the swab, and I was sent back outside again to wait even longer. Um, it was very, very difficult. I felt like I was about to die. I could look at my husband and see the hopelessness and the helplessness in his eyes. So I turned to him and I said, listen, I'm okay. You go home, get yourself together, and you can come back. So when he had left, they eventually called me into the TEMA tent. Now, mind you, they're not telling us anything. They just calling you here or there. So they called me into the TEMA tent. Brothers and sisters, it was a very emotional time when I stepped into the entrance of that tent and I saw what was going on in there, and I saw the despair and the suffering and on people's faces. I truly felt like I was not going to leave that tent alive. Um, there was a sense of this is the end, and I decided to pray. I was taken to the far corner of the tent in a little space, sort of like isolated from everybody else. And I couldn't really move from the position that I was in. So I started to pray. And my prayer at the time was not for healing. I was actually making peace with God at that time. As we say, So I truly didn't believe that I was coming out from that tent. So the night had passed, it was extremely cold, and you could hear persons just moaning and groaning and crying because of pain. So there was this feeling of, yeah, you know, um, I made it through the night. I got up the next morning and I said to myself, well, what's next? Because nobody coming to you and nobody telling you anything. That morning, I heard someone call my name out loudly. Liba Matthews Julian, come out. So I stood for a while because I couldn't believe it was my name. So then I heard it again, Liba Matthews Julian, come out. Take your things and come out. And I was in a bit of shock because before I went to bed, I felt as though I was going to die. And now somebody is calling my voice out loudly at the entrance of the tent. And I felt as though, like when Jesus was calling Lazarus out from the tomb, I felt as though, I was being called out from what I would call death. All right. So I called back out to the person and I said, I cannot walk. Can you come for me, please? And they came and they got me and they took me up to the green room. So while I was there, when I got there, actually, I was going in the ambulance and I was still not, we were not told because there was another lady in the ambulance with me. We weren't told where we were going or what they were doing. Nobody's giving instructions, and when you ask, all you were told is that you're going up to the hospital. So we got to the hospital and we were just given our bags and told to go upstairs. So again, not knowing what was happening, but we took our stuff and we went up the steps. We had to take our time getting there because you're weak and you have bag to carry, and you could just imagine. So we got up there, chose our beds, and they came and they connected the oxygen and did what all that they had to do to make us comfortable. Now, at that time is when I did some introspection and I started to talk to God, and I told God, I said, Father, you and I said, you and I are fighting this battle. I said, I want to live, and you and I are going to make it through. We're fighting this. We're not letting this defeat us. That is what I said. And I slept that night fairly comfortable. And I got up the next morning. And again, I was happy to be alive. I was ecstatic to be alive. And I made a conscious decision to not stay in my bed. So I got up and I started at that morning. I think that morning was about 4 a.m. I got up and I started to walk the corridor. So I was making laps in the corridor. They would not have been at any fast pace, but I was making laps in the corridor. And at certain intervals, I would stop at the window and do my breathing exercises to try to strengthen my lungs because I did have pneumonia and the infection was pretty bad. And I needed to get my oxygen level up. So I was doing my own breathing exercises. I was going down the steps and I was coming back up the steps, and I was trying my best to keep moving. But what I decided to do then too was to try to help those that were on the ward who were worse off than I was. So I tried to help everyone else, and then I would talk to everybody and say, listen, you can't lay in your bed, you have to get up and move, despite whatever. Move as little, if it's just a little, little that you can move, keep going, move, and pray and ask God to help us out of this situation. And gradually, day by day, you saw persons being affected, and you saw the change in their condition as they started to move and to pray. And although I spent 2 weeks up there, roughly 2 weeks, maybe a little over 2 weeks, I saw the difference in the ladies, and I was able, and even the gentlemen that was on the ward, and I was going down the steps and going, because you had to go downstairs to collect your meals, and I was going down the steps to get meals. I was, for everybody on the ward, and it was a lot of us on the ward, I would make trips, and I was using that as an opportunity to exercise, but also to help those who needed help. Um, and day by day, my strength grew, my lungs improved, my breathing improved, and so my oxygen level went up. And I would praise and I would thank God. I would go by that window and just give God the praise, the honor, and the glory for bringing me through that battle. And even some of the persons that were in my ward were discharged before me, and they were worse than I was, and I was so happy for that, to see that change in them. There were persons who didn't make it, unfortunately, but those of us who did, we are very thankful. I know that I am very thankful to God for sparing my life. It was one of the times when I felt so helpless and so alone. Although you knew people were praying for you and your family members were praying for you and calling you, and that did help, there was still this sense that you were alone. But after a while, you had to I had to check myself and say, but you're not alone. God is there with you. He is there with you. He has been there for me many, many, many times. And this was just another time that I can say where he showed up and he showed out. So he showed me, he proved to me that he was there for me. And I know that he will continue to be there for me. So I just want, everyone to know that God is with us. If we just trust him, we call upon him, and we trust him, and we surrender it all to him, he will be there to help us. He will take care of us. And all I could say is that I hope that, and I pray that my experience and my story would be a blessing to anyone who hears it this evening. I pray that you all will have a blessed evening, and thank you for the opportunity to be able to share my story.
The Holy Spirit has really impressed different topics on my heart. I know for a fact that individuals were blessed. My all-time favorite dreams and aspirations.
I will be doing CSCs.
I like to become a lawyer in the next 5 years.
I want to teach the children's Sabbath school at my church.
I will be finishing up secondary school, so I would like to be head prefect.
In fact, Sister Shabiki, I do, and by the grace of God, I will be completing primary school and going to my dream secondary school, Queen's College.
I want to keep getting good grades so that I can be on track to enter the university where I can be a doctor that specializes in surgery for babies.
I like to pass my class going into Form 2.
I would want to become
a pilot.
Will be in second form finishing up, heading out to third form, choosing my science subjects like chemistry, physics, biology too.
And youth edition. I know that many of our young people were tremendously blessed. It is my desire that hearts and lives will be transformed for the kingdom, that people will recognize that the problems that they're facing, only Jesus is the answer. Yes, I know we're going through a lot. Yes, I know we lose hope sometime, but just remember, Jesus is the answer. The moment we say
it's not necessarily an emotional issue. There are many facets to racism.
You choose, and first of all, forgiveness is a choice. So you choose to forgive that person, to grant them a pardon for what they have done.
Oh, that's a very complex question. How do you know? How do you know when you're in love? Even in my experience and so on, I believe sometimes it takes you a while before you really realize that you are in love.
We just like to take this opportunity to say thanks to these wonderful individuals who would have shared their stories. Thanks to Wilbert Fraser, who resides in Canada but is Guyanese. Thanks to Jalissa Emmanuel. She is a native of Suriname. And I want to say thank you so much to Sister Julian, who hails from Tobago. And I pray God's blessings for each and every one of you. I'll see you again next week, where we will definitely have a live edition. And I pray God's blessings. And so we're going to pray as we close this evening. Father God, we are so thankful that Issues in Focus, we're celebrating our 2 years anniversary of streaming live. We are thankful for the many guests we had on the program, the many persons whose lives were touched as a result of this program. Continue to inspire, continue to motivate, and I pray, Lord, may you even put it in the hearts of individuals to lend a hand, lend a support, give suggestions, and whatever they may want to give. So as we continue to go through this and navigate life's journey, that indeed through this program, total transformation will be brought. So Father God, we thank you and we praise you in Jesus' name. Amen. God's blessings to all of you.
You have been a wonderful audience. Don't forget to like the page and follow on Facebook at Issues in Focus with Shibiki Vibers. And subscribe to the YouTube channel, Issues in Focus with Shibiki Vibers. Follow me also now on Instagram with username Shibiki. Join us next Thursday at 6:30 p.m. God's blessings. See you then.